Gents, the other big game this weekend, England-Australia. The English have quite a good record against Australia in sort of crunch-type games. I guess you could classify this as one of those. Michael Chaker, 2 defeats on the trot now. They're in the same pool for the World Cup. Garen, how do you see that going?
That is key. The fact that these two teams will meet in a crunch World Cup game in 10 months' time. And as you say, Chaker lost 2 after winning 2. They've been narrow defeats. Last weekend they spotted Ireland, I think, a 17-point start after 17 minutes. They came back really nicely after that. They won't want to do that against England. England have got a lot to prove. They really had a tour from hell, if you like. England, they played New Zealand, South Africa, Australia, Samoa. Pretty tough on consecutive weekends to do that. And they look good at times. They haven't been fantastic though. I think a little bit disappointed the English public. But they made a couple of changes. They're also talking about Flaws. They seem to have settled now on this Ford chap rather than Farrell, who wasn't that good, I thought, against the Springboks. So maybe not a bad decision there. But it'll be interesting to see how this match pans out. It'll certainly be close. I don't see this game being decided by more than a couple of points either way. It could well just come down to last-minute penalty, as we've seen so many matches decided of late. So, interesting game, played at the same time as the South Africa game, which I think is quite strange. So I don't know how many people will be tuning in for that game. But yeah, from a Southern Hemisphere point of view, it'd be nice to see Australia win. England will take some confidence heading into the Six Nations if they do topple Australia. Tough one to call. If you're looking for a prediction, I might even say England at home might sneak it by also 2 to 3 points.
Tank, another defeat for Australia, what would that mean? I know we probably shouldn't read too much into it. Michael Chaker was hauled in at the last minute before this tour, but that wouldn't be a good sign.
No, it wouldn't. But I mean, as Garen says, they've been close losses, and every coach likes to call their side a building side because it gives them a bit of breathing space. But given that he is brand new, I mean, it's probably fair to call them that. It was interesting. I was in the UK for the Twickenham game, the Bok game, and the press after that game. Because Lancaster's had a bit of an easy ride. He's spoken all the good stuff. He's spoken about heritage. He's taken the Oaks out of being naughty boys and put them into respecting the jersey, all that kind of good stuff. So he's had an easy run of things. But now they've had enough. That Sunday Times after the Bok game was brutal. And it was all about the halfbacks. So, Farrell hasn't played well for his club. There was no reason for him to be starting at fly half. And I think the public have had enough of that. Now he's been ditched, right onto the bench, even on a first centre. I like the look of Ford, but I think England are in trouble. They're going to host the World Cup next year. Everyone's talking about them being, real contenders, but I'm not so sure. I think they've gone backwards. I think the Aussies will take this relatively easily, actually.
Do you think England are suffering from the same sort of problems the French are in terms of their club rugby diluting their local talent? When it comes to international test matches?
Well, they're one of 3 sides in the world who've said, okay, if you go play overseas, you don't play for your country. And I'm a big fan of that. So New Zealand do that, Australia do that, and the Poms do it.
But I mean, more foreigners playing in their club system.
Oh, yeah. Less so, actually. I mean, more people, there's more people going to Japan, more people going to France. England have a cap, so you can only have a certain amount of foreigners in their teams, and also there's so many of them. There's a lot of English teams that play a lot of good provincial rugby. So less so. I just think it's more of a case of I took my lighty to an under-6 training session the day after the Bok test, and everything was run by RFU standards. And I've taken him to a couple of South African ones where it's ball in hand, it's tag, it's have some fun. There, it's so regimental. And there was another thing that I picked up in the press is that they seem to be so structured that they don't think about heads-up rugby. They don't look and see what's in front of them. It's all sort of quite regimented and right from an under-6 level. And I think that's starting to bite them in that they're not playing heads-up rugby. They're almost like the Boks were a few months ago, or a few years ago. They're kind of that regimented, and I think that's what's stifling them.
Okay. Going just to look at some of the personnel changes. Billy 12Gs back in the midfield. That name always seems to make people giggle. Dylan Hartley back at hooker, our favourite character. And for the Wallabies, Rob Horn has been recalled. I don't think he's had a test cap from a couple of years.
Some whiles, yeah.
Joe Tamani may be unlucky not to not to have been put on the
I
wing.
think the common thread in all these team selections is that no coach has sort of settled on a starting 15. Everyone's still experimenting, whether it's in the tight five, out on the wing, back three, that sort of thing. Everyone's looking for their best combinations with limited time now heading into the World Cup. So, a lot of these changes are much of a muchness. Is Rob Horn better than Joe Tamani? Who really knows? On the day, moment of inspiration, somebody throws a wild intercept pass, you look like a hero. So, it's difficult to say. I think the key from an England point of view is the Farrell missing. I think that makes a statement. Hartley back at number 2. He's not anyone's favourite, I think, but he niggles and he does a job. A little bit like Bismarck in years past. Used to niggle, get in the face of players and that sort of thing. Sort of player you don't want to play against. So maybe that's a reason that he's been picked. And from an Australian point of view, on paper they've got a really, really good, formidable looking team. Israel Folau, one of the best fullbacks in the world. Ashley Cooper playing some good rugby. Their forwards, Michael Hooper, turning into a fairly decent captain as well as a flank. So it's going to be a tight game. I don't see this game, like I said earlier, being separated by more than 2 or 3 points either way. It's just which way it's going to go. It'll be interesting. Just to add that the Wallabies are going to be wearing these black armbands after Phil Hughes' death, so that will give them extra inspiration, motivation, which could, at the end of the day, just swing it for them. It's been amazing that the outpouring of support worldwide for Phil Hughes. So that could just be the thing that inspires them to a victory. But much like the Springboks, they'll have one eye on the plane home as well. They've had a long tour. They had to play New Zealand sort of in the last dead Bledisloe Cup match before they even went overseas, and they've played France and England. They've had Ireland. They've had some tough games as well. So maybe that will swing it in England's favour if they're a little bit fresher than the Wallabies. So, but if you want a prediction, like I said, England by 2 or 3.
Tank, yours?
Yeah, I'm going to go the Aussies by 5 or 6 again.
Okay. Thanks, gents.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks very much.